everybody, welcome to the 10th episode of Pitch Catch. This week we are going to deal with 2 pitches. Starting next week, we're going to take a hiatus from Pitch Catch because it's Labor Day and also TIFF starts. So it'll be a while before we get back, so submit your pitches and your questions so that we're ready to go when we come back. Alright, let's get to it. Thanks. This week we have 2 pitches, both of whom have pitched before. The reason I'm allowing this time is because I'd like to show a comparison between this pitch and their previous pitch to show whether they've actually learned anything or if they're making the same mistakes again. Alright, so let's get to it. Hi Yolanda, you've done one for me before, so I understand if you don't want to go with this, but it's fun to pitch you. Thanks. Okay, this is one of the best screenwriting tutorial destinations I've seen. Definitely would love your feedback on this pitch. Oh, that's nice, thank you. Alright, so here's his pitch. Probation, action comedy. A mild-mannered guy, Pete, is unfairly busted for dealing pot and winds up doing 3 years in prison. He's paroled, but his wife has divorced him. In order to win her back, he vows to never go back down the criminal path. Unfortunately, his probation officer is an even bigger criminal than Pete ever was, and he finds himself getting caught up in his unstable parole officer's schemes. The tone is The Hangover meets Training Day. I picture actors like Paul Rudd and Zach Galifianakis in the roles. Thanks for your time, John. Alright, so what's good about this? It included a title, a logline, the genre. It had a protagonist, Pete, a mild-mannered ex-con who's divorced and was wrongfully convicted, and he loves his wife because he wants to get her back. We know what's at stake, his marriage. We know who the antagonist is or what he's up against, the crooked parole officer. Excellent title, has a strong hook, you know exactly what you're in for, and it ties into the log line. It's high concept, it's easy to understand, you get it right away. There's also a comparison to 2 movies that are hit films, Training Day and The Hangover. What could be better? It's a great combination and it's a great comparison. You can see right away how this movie would play out. Casting suggestions, Zach Galifianakis and Paul Rudd. Oh my god, that would be hilarious. Immediately I get a visual of who these 2 people are and how they would interact with each other and how they would just piss each other off. Normally I wouldn't recommend putting in casting suggestions, but in this instance it works. What could be improved? Alright, again, Johnny sends us a pretty strong concept, but there are ways that this could be improved. Okay, this is a big one because the title of your film is Probation and it has such a strong hook and a strong theme. I would capitalize off this a little more. You don't have to take my advice, it's up to you, but how I would go about doing this is I wouldn't have them already be divorced. Have her threaten to divorce him unless he meets her terms for probation. So he's on probation with his wife and he's on probation with prison, and have those terms conflict. So he's got to figure out between the 2 of them how he's going to make it work on both sides. That's what I think you need to do. But that's just me, okay? Your log line should be 1 sentence. This is a super high concept feature and it should only be 1 line. Get into the details in your synopsis. I think you're trying to put way too much information into the log line and you're trying to combine the log line and synopsis together instead of separating the 2. You have a tendency to rely on sort of what I'm going to call external factors or descriptors to beef up your log line. Put it in the log line. These external factors I'm referring to are the action comedy reference, the comparison between the 2 films, the casting suggestion. Action comedy, make me laugh and make me see the action in your log line. You've got mild-mannered Pete, which sounds like Peter Parker from Spider-Man, but anyway, so why is it important that he's mild-mannered? What's a better descriptor that describes Paul Rudd that you can put in your log line? what is a better descriptor that describes Zach Galifianakis that you can put in your log line? How mild-mannered can he be after spending 3 years in prison? I would imagine that he's been affected by being in prison, so there's got to be some quality that is a little bit off, which tempts him perhaps to being crooked. Again, the comparison between Training Day and The Hangover is excellent. However, it's not reflected in the log line. I can see the Training Day element, I cannot see the Hangover element. The only time I saw the Hangover element was when you brought in the casting suggestions, and that's because it was Zach Galifianakis. And I only saw the Training Day comparison in the last sentence. The full impact of your log line is actually in the last sentence. The hilarity and the action and the comedy that is in The Hangover, bring that in to your log line so that we see it in that log line and you don't need the comparison, so that when people hear the log line they think, oh, Training Day meets The Hangover, cool. In summary, I know there's a lot here, but you do have a very strong concept. I would suggest that you tighten up the log line, you up the stakes, you set the conflict between the protagonist and the antagonist so that he's between a rock and a hard place. Put in the action and the comedy and make the log line one sentence, and you have a winner. All right, pitch number 2 comes from Mitch, and he's submitted before, but there was no title on this project, and he's actually resubmitting the same project. So this will be an interesting exercise in showing how feedback from the previous version has reflected in his revised version. Thank you for your help. Lament. A happily married musician with one son is tormented with dreams and visions of another woman while being given the opportunity to compose the music to a movie. What's good about this? This time he included a title, Lament, and the log line is a lot more concise. It's one sentence. There's a protagonist, the father who's happily married. What he's up against these dreams and visions of this other woman, and potentially what's at stake, I guess, is his dream job. And I'm kind of reverting back to the previous version for that. Last time I suggest that what is special about this guy, and whatever that is, put it in your log line. What does this project mean to him? What's at stake? What is the problem that this woman poses to him? Why is she a threat? Who is she? And what is it that she's doing to him? Active versus passive verbs. I wanted to know what this man does. How does he take action? The genre was unclear, and I suggested that you pare it down to one sentence. You did pare it down to one sentence, which is great. However, I do think that all of the other points have not been addressed. At least you clarified what the project is, that he gets to write for a movie, but why is it important? And actually, the information that you provided in your previous log line, even though it was 3 sentences, was actually clearer than what you're providing in this log line. First thing that strikes me is the title, Lament. I'm very curious as to why you chose that title. A passionate expression of grief. It's kind of depressing, and I don't see how the title ties into your log line. If it is about this man grieving over somebody, and that somebody is this woman who haunts him in his dreams, then say so, because the two right now are disconnected. Genre is unclear, so I don't know whether this is a drama or a horror or a suspense or thriller or what. There's some sort of haunting tones to it, but you need to emphasize that. The verbs, he's not doing anything. He's tormented by visions of this woman while he's offered a job. So what is this guy doing about it? I think that you're suffering from pushing words around on a page, and you need to deal with your concept and figure out what that truly must be. So dig deeper. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you to Mitch and Johnny for submitting again. I hope you have a great end of the summer. I'll see you in a few weeks, but keep those pitches and those questions coming in so that we're ready to go when we get back. All right, thanks again. I'll see you next time. All right, bye.